So after we endow artificial intelligence with emotion, and mind you, I do admit that by no means are we the first to dive into emotion, but we dive into emotion because we believe that it was so important that we couldn't leave the work to others, right? That we must get involved. And so where do we go next? And swarm intelligence is an area that we believe emotion is highly influential in, and it is a missing link to a lot of the research that's being done. So let's talk about this. There's about 3 major algorithms for swarms. The first is particle swarm optimization, basically just studying doves. But in that research, nowhere is it mentioned the emotional aspects of birds. If anyone's owned a bird, you know that birds go through grief, right? They may miss you. Birds are happy. They may be sad if their young falls out of the nest. And so it's scientifically proven that birds do display emotion. Ant colony optimization is also another algorithm. How do you get a colony of ants to best work together in order to accomplish a common goal? With ants, what they found is that ants also display emotion. They did an experiment where they isolated socially an ant and found that ants that are socially isolated actually die 10 times quicker than other ants, right? Think about individuals that go to jail and they're stuck in the hole, right? Many people commit suicide in the hole, okay? And so the same things that we display emotionally are displayed in other aspects of our world. Last, we have the cockroach swarm. I think my wife will appreciate that I didn't show an actual picture of a cockroach. But for cockroach swarm optimization, once again, they also display things such as trust, right, among each other. If the rest of the swarm goes over there, then it must be all right, okay? If everybody dashes and scatters, then, then there's fear, and there must be something else that's going on from that standpoint. But once again, cockroach swarm optimization, you guys can Google it, and you'll find the research that does stipulate that cockroaches do display emotion. And so the theory that we are proposing today for the first time is swarm emotion optimization. And basically, what we are saying is that based on emotional cues, that swarms react to emotional cues, and that the swarm is actually optimized based on the emotional state of the swarm. And so if the entire swarm is freaked out and they're afraid of something, then all the individual fish are going to go in that particular direction. I think you can see that with human beings. I grew up in a rough part of Omaha where essentially, if there's any type of gunfire or anything like that, everybody runs, okay? And so those same types of displays of emotion we've seen in nature as well. Well, what can we do with this? How could it affect what's currently going on in the industry? Just as a case study, we believe that emotion could assist in self-driving car technology. So how? So if the car can read the emotional state, suppose you're coming home during traffic, during rush hour, and the car can read your emotional state. But not only can it read your emotional state, it can also read and tie into the emotional state of other drivers via their vehicles. And so suppose a really bad accident happens and everyone's rubbernecking, right? And it's a situation where people are full of anxiety because they're late getting to work, etc. You could have a swarm of vehicles that, based on the emotional state of drivers, could take a shorter path and get there in quicker time and get there safely as well. If you're on an interstate and a lot of people have crashed, etc., what are the emotional state of drivers? There was one time that I drove 16 hours from Georgia here to Omaha during a blizzard, and there were many cars on the road. If I had known that there were other drivers that were in duress, maybe we would have taken another route. So also individuals talk about robots being endowed. Our whole focus isn't necessarily on getting this one product, this one robot that you'll accept into your home and it will take care of the elderly and the disabled, et cetera. Although that is a part of the plan. And the reason why is because my mother, my sister, and my niece are all permanently disabled as a result. And so I have thought about utilizing emotion for those particular reasons. But more so, we are focusing on deploying emotion across IoT devices. And we'll give you more examples of that shortly. So one thing that I can say is that I'm not coming here as the first one that's been involved in emotion. They've been doing the research. They've been doing it for years. And so it's here. There's nothing that any of us can necessarily do about it. But what I can do is tell you that everyone that came up here, this is going to disrupt your industry. Completely is going to disrupt your industry.